The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. My name is Andy MacNeil. I'm your host. I'm here on weekdays to provide NHL projections, betting advice, picks, you name it, here on the Puck Portfolio on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast. This show is sponsored by NorthStar Bets, good old Canadian sportsbook. They offer early odds on the next day's NHL games, which we really appreciate here on this show. Check them out via the link in the description below. Of course, I've got Jake, the producer, here with me. I can hear him furiously typing away on the keyboard in my headphones right now. What's going on, Jake?
Just saying hi to Connor. Connor says, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back, Connor, and everybody in the chat. Happy Friday to everybody tuning in.
Yeah, happy Friday. Hopefully a happy Saturday, because that's what we're going to be focusing here on today's show. Obviously, we'll run through Friday's games really quickly here. Why not, eh? We've got a great bet locked in on the St. Louis Blues. The best price in market now, minus 130 on the St. Louis Blues money line. We locked in minus 110 yesterday on Thursday's show for Friday's game. They're taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. We've got the Pittsburgh Penguins in action in Florida. Going to talk about that briefly, and the Minnesota Wild in Edmonton taking on the Oilers. Of course, the Wild getting shut out by the Canucks on Thursday. Pretty good start for the Wild, but they couldn't get anything going offensively. And Vancouver found a way to win. So let's get into a schedule breakdown quickly. We'll spend a little bit more time on it today because we've got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lots of hockey here on Friday. Every team is on a pretty quick turnaround here, either coming in on a back-to-back or a single day's rest. The Blues and the Oilers have the edge over their opponents, Columbus and Minnesota, who played on Thursday night. Moving on to Saturday, every home team on the schedule is coming off a single day off, but Dallas is playing their third day in 4 nights on the road. St. Louis playing in a back-to-back. Of course, they're in action against Columbus. On Friday, they'll be in action against Chicago on Saturday. And Tampa and Carolina are both playing their third game in 4 days as well. On Sunday, we've got a lot of back-to-backs, and that's why I'm not going to cover Sunday's games on the show today. Obviously, it's a ways out. Not many sports books have lines for those games, but I might check in on Saturday. Maybe I'll go live here on the YouTube channel on my own. Of course, it's a day off, but if there's something that I like on Saturday morning or a little bit later on Saturday morning for Sunday, I'll be sure to go live. I think I've got enough time to do that if it warrants such an occasion, right? So anyways, Sunday, a lot of back-to-backs to wrap up the week's schedule, including 3 double matchups where both teams are playing on the second half of a back-to-back. New Jersey, Washington, Los Angeles, Nashville, Chicago. Nashville and Chicago, they're playing their 6th game in 9 nights. Montreal, the Rangers, Vegas, Seattle, they're all playing on Saturday and Sunday. Outside of the 3 back-to-backs, Columbus and Minnesota are playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. And like I said, Chicago, Nashville playing their 6th game in 9 nights. San Jose has the biggest individual game advantage here with 2 days rest over the Vegas Golden Knights. And they fucking did it again. The San Jose Sharks come back, this time erasing a 4-goal deficit against the Detroit Red Wings, spoiling Patrick Kane's debut as a Red Wing. They win in overtime 6-5 plus 234. They closed on the money line. Look, if you had bet $100 on the Sharks to win each of their last 16 games, so that's going back to their 10-2 loss against the Pittsburgh Penguins, you'd be up $1,193. Now, I don't think anybody's, putting a bet on the Sharks in every single game here, but the point of this exercise is to say that, look, they're the opponents, the teams that the Sharks are playing as of late have been, grossly overvalued, clearly. The San Jose Sharks are not going to continue to win at an 8-7-1 rate. But look, you've got to take those big underdog prices, I guess, if nothing else, when you get the opportunity. You can't be blindly fading this team. Don't be throwing their opponents into parlays every other night. That's not going to, help you in the long run. Frankly, I think the Sharks are the kind of team that I like to throw into parlay. When I make parlays, they're lottery tickets, right? Like a lot of the time, of course, there's the odd, 2 or 3 teamer, but when I actually play parlays for fun, which is what most people are doing, hoping to hit big. I'm putting in teams like the Sharks at big odds, even at regulation odds and things like that, or the tie, stuff like that. Like I'm not thinking like, oh, it's an easy win for the team that the Sharks are playing. I'm thinking, look, there's some value here. I'm going to try to throw that into a lottery ticket. They must have exploded so many parlays over the last month. But yeah, 16 games, 8-7-1. It's a pretty good sample. Not a big sample size by any means, but pretty good, pretty good. But yeah, let's get into the projections here. Of course, I want to get into the picks I have right off the bat here. Not going to talk a lot about Friday. Of course, we got that great bet down on the St. Louis Blues, minus 110. And now the best price that you can get is minus 130. Still some value there, especially if Patrick Laine does not play and Elvis Merzlikins is not able to go. Would expect maybe Merzlikins to be back. He didn't travel with the team. Laine didn't travel with the team either. We'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely wouldn't rush to bet the Blues, I guess, at this point, because if the news goes against us, then maybe that line stays there, or worse, comes back the other way a little bit if Laine and Merzlikins are back in the Blue Jackets lineup. Pittsburgh at Florida. Look, I mean, Pittsburgh, they've been really struggling. People are finally starting to catch on. I know there's some folks out there that think they're a bit of a sleeping giant, sort of like the Oilers were when Connor McDavid was hurt. But I mean, this Pittsburgh Penguins team, pretty brutal defensively, especially if you watch their games, and then you can look at some of the sort of, I guess, non-public data that's out there, sort of public because it is out there. But like, for example, Stathletes showing how the Pittsburgh Penguins allow more odd man rushes against per game than all but 2 teams. So pretty bad shape, the Penguins defense. Anyway, but I think a lot of squares are going to look at this game and be like, look, oh yeah, the Panthers, oh, they're minus 157. They're going to win easy tonight against this Pittsburgh team. And they're going to recommend betting them on the regulation line or the puck line, and maybe they'll win the regulation line. Maybe they'll cover, but yeah, I don't know. I think this is a fair line. Minus 152 is what my model has for this game. And the same goes for the Edmonton Oilers at the Minnesota Wild. I mean, we're seeing what the Oilers as a bigger favorite. My model thinks they should be minus 161. So yeah, nothing really of note. Got a great play on the Blues. Going to be happy with that for Friday night. But heading in to Saturday, I've got 3 bets, and I think they are pretty good ones, to be honest. So let's start with the Islanders and the Los Angeles Kings. I talked about it on Thursday's episode. The Islanders, they rank 26th in all situations in expected goals percentage, 28th in shot attempt percentage, 20th in goal share. This team last night at the end of the second period, Columbus, the team they were playing, the team that we had bet on, unfortunately bet on prior to knowing that Patrick Laine and Elvis Merzlikins would be out. The team that we bet on owned 60% of the expected goals and the shot attempts at the end of the second period. Unfortunately, they had a 2-1 lead. The Islanders scored 3 goals in the final 5 minutes of the second period. Really fluky little stretch there to get the Islanders a 4-2 lead. The Blue Jackets got back within 1 early in the third period, but the Isles pulled away. Like, I think this team is not a good hockey team, and maybe it's a lot just because they're terrible to watch. They are so boring. They're, I think, an abomination of a hockey team. They just sit back and they're very opportunistic. They rely on their goaltending. I hate watching the Islanders. I hate the Islanders because they're so frustrating to bet against. And, as much, they're probably just as frustrating to bet on because this team sucks. And I've said it before, they're not going to win a Stanley Cup in a million years with this roster. Ilya Sorokin could take them far. Semyon Varlamov could take them far. in the playoffs. But they're just going to waste everybody's time, bow out in the conference finals. Probably is the best case scenario, like we saw them do a few years ago. But yeah, the Kings. I like them at let's see what the kind of consensus price is here. Um, Consensus price. So we're minus 125, and I like them at minus 125. But here's the thing: NorthStar Bets has great odds on the Los Angeles Kings, minus 114 on LA. So I'm going to lock that in right now. That is an excellent price, in my opinion. So, yeah, locking in the Kings, who rank first in expected goals percentage, third in shot attempt percentage, first in goal share, first in a bunch of other defensive metrics that I won't even get into right now because there are just so many to list. I mean, this team is so good in so many ways, and yeah, I hate the term wagon because it gets overused, but I mean, the Kings are a wagon as long as Cam Talbot continues to provide above average goaltending and help win them games. So the first bet locked in on the Kings minus 114 to win 1 unit. Um, like that, I probably would bet more on this one, honestly, if it was not the Islanders. If it was any team but the Islanders, I would be eager to bet more on this one. But look, just making it to win 1 unit at minus 114. Like it up to minus 125, though. And the next bet that I'm going to talk about is the Nashville Predators. You know what? Let me just we can put the Sharks hat away now. Cover up that bald head. Put the Preds hat on. Yeah, the next game I want to talk about is Nashville at Toronto. So, of course, Nashville got the big win over the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday. Well, on Saturday, they're in Toronto taking on the Maple Leafs. And once again, NorthStar Bets has the best price in market, plus 165. And at that price, I can justify betting 1 unit on the Preds at plus 165. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, Nashville. I mean, look, once again, talk about the same kind of categories. 17th in expected goals percentage for the Maple Leafs, 21st in shot attempt percentage, 19th in goal share. This is at all situations. We can get into 5-on-5 numbers another day. The Predators, 4th in expected goals percentage, 9th in shot attempt percentage, 14th in goal share. So, I mean, the Preds have the edge in several categories. No, they're not as skilled as the Toronto Maple Leafs. They've already beaten them this season, though. Yeah, it was at home, but look, I like Nashville plus 165. I bet the Maple Leafs on Thursday, and if I could go back in time, even though I won that bet, I wouldn't make it again because it was a bad bet. The Maple Leafs got outplayed. They get outplayed kind of quite a bit lately. They've had some good games, but they have a hard time winning in regulation, that's for sure. So they had to. I mean, they had to basically cut out the power for a split second in the final minute of last night's game to get that win. They must have paid off the light guy at Canadian Tire Center or whatever they're calling that place now, but the Canada Center. Anyway, Jake, what do you think about this Maple Leafs team? And what do you think about the Kings? This is what 2-4-0 defeats that you've watched your team suffer at the hands of the Los Angeles Kings in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's funny. Like for people who didn't watch the game, you would think it was the exact same thing. But the Habs played
Carbon
a
copy.
little bit better. I got to give them a little bit credit. They hit two posts, one late in the first, one early in the second. So it could have been 2-2 there in the second. But yeah, I mean, once it was like 2-0, the Kings kind of clamped down, and then the game got pretty boring after that. But I would give them some decent odds against Buffalo if they play the way that they did against the Kings. And to be honest, when it comes to the Leafs, living in Toronto, I usually kind of have a pretty strong sense of what's going on because the media is constantly covering them. The fact that I just don't really have a good sense of what the Leafs are really tells me how bad they are because the media is kind of like talking about other stuff right now because usually it can't be
Otani.
avoided. Like, if they've got like, if they're playing like President's Trophy kind of caliber hockey, you hear about it nonstop. If they're not, it's kind of radio silence.
Can we get an Otani update, Jake?
Well, right now, everybody's talking about John Morosi. MLB Insider says Otani's decision is imminent, so everybody's kind of refreshing their phones right now, and I think everybody's setting themselves up to be heartbroken. I don't want to believe that. I want to believe it's possible, but I think Toronto's kind of been used in the past for free agency, kind of boosting the numbers and stuff. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong because it would be pretty incredible to have a guy like that play for the Blue Jays and in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I support the Blue Jays to a certain extent because they're the Canadian team. I know that they kind of did the Expos dirty back in the day. They could have, to the best of my knowledge, they could have made a difference there, keeping the Expos in Montreal, but they didn't. They were more than happy to see them go. So I think they're I've always had a little bit of hard time because I did love the Expos as a kid. Yeah, I've always had a hard time kind of switching over to the Blue Jays bandwagon. Because look, I wasn't very old in 1992 or 93. Those are the years that the Blue Jays won it, right?
Um,
Or
yeah, I think
91,
so.
92,
Yeah, 92,
something
93.
like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
92, 93. Joe Carter's home run was 92, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like 5. But I was in junior high when the Expos were really good, and that lockout season cost them in 2001, was it? But yeah, that was pretty sour. We were all pretty sour during that time, but because the Expos had quite the team that year. But yeah, the last bet that I had down coming into the show now was the Philadelphia Flyers. Just going to be a half unit play. Look, the Flyers, they're not as good of a team as the Colorado Avalanche. And the Avalanche are going to be looking to get right after that loss to Winnipeg on home ice. And they're on home ice again. And they're one of the best home teams in the NHL. So the Flyers, they haven't been bad on the road this season. Um, the Avalanche, they're a top 10 team in all categories: expected goals, shot attempt percentage, goal share. But the Flyers, they still remain a top 10 team in expected goals percentage. And that's gonna help them stay in games like this, right? And we saw them take out the Pittsburgh Penguins in back-to-back games. They've taken out some good teams this year, and their penalty kill is so fun to watch and so efficient, so good, so dangerous. So I'm gonna take the Flyers at plus 195 at NorthStar Bets. Half unit play to win almost a unit, obviously, 0.975 units. Anyway, yeah, half unit play on the Flyers plus 195. And why I said that I only had 3 bets marked down, because some injury news has come out. Obviously, we knew that Charlie McAvoy left on Thursday, early in the third period, versus the Buffalo Sabres. I guess he was kind of surprised by that hit from JJ Peterka. Um, that's a big loss for the Bruins. I talked about the Sabres and about how bad they've been lately, but how, if anything, it was Sabres or nothing against the Bruins on the money line on Thursday, and the Sabres won 3-1. Pretty miserable defeat for the Boston Bruins. So they're another team that'll be looking to get right here. But while I'm not a huge fan, I don't think I'm as high. I know I'm not, actually, because I wasn't betting on the Coyotes during this recent run, or a lot anyway. I wasn't betting on the Coyotes during this recent run where they, took out some former Stanley Cup champions, surprised everybody, got everybody's attention. I know some people were. Kudos to you. I don't think I'm as high on the Coyotes as you guys are, because look, the Coyotes, they've got a pretty miserable expected goal differential per 60 over the last month. Not exactly promising numbers here. So I do worry about Arizona, but with the off chance that Charlie McAvoy is out, we got Jeremy Swayman dealing with something. He could possibly be out of the lineup. Not that Linus Ullmark is a downgrade or anything, really, but I guess let's put a small bet on the Coyotes. I don't really love it, so let's just go a quarter unit, a rare quarter unit play, 0.25 units on the Coyotes, at plus 215, because that's a pretty good price. The best price out there in market now, which is pretty much non-existent, plus 220 at a sports book that I don't have access to, and nobody else in Canada has access to. So that makes plus 215 at NorthStar Bets the best price here on in market for the Arizona Coyotes. So yeah, let's lock that in. Quarter unit play. This is the first time, I think, outside of it's the first time I've made a play this small. Like I said, I'm just not in love with it, but more of a play on hoping that Charlie McAvoy will miss a game. Maybe get a maintenance day, and we win a little more than half a unit on this one. Small risk. kind of small reward. But yeah, Coyotes plus 215 on the money line. Yeah, anything in the chat that we should be getting to here, Jake? Feel like this has been a pretty efficient show so far.
Yeah, it came a little while ago, but Connor was saying that McAvoy is in fact not practicing with the Bruins today, so I think that that hunch is right on.
All right, cool. Thanks for the update, Connor. I've got to do a better job of kind of looking at Twitter, but man, I've got one brain here, and it kind of gets bogged down when I got too much going on at once. But yeah, so fun show, fun show. Really disappointed in the Anaheim Ducks. Look, Thursday came away with a tiny profit. Like I'm talking pocket change. If you were $100 better, you made about $11 at the odds posted on this show, based on Wednesday's picks for Thursday's games. So not a bad night by any means, but could have been so much better because the St. Louis or the Nashville Predators came through, obviously. But the two plays that I lost, going 3-2 on Thursday, the two plays that I lost were, of course, the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was one unit at plus 175 before we knew that Line A and Merzlikins were not going to play. And the other one was a minus 104 bet, 1.04 units to win one unit on the Anaheim Ducks, who get shut out by the Chicago Blackhawks, man. And I even wore the hat yesterday. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were going to get, not that I couldn't believe it, but I thought we were going to get some overtime in that game. The Ducks were pushing hard. They were the better team, I think, overall, and probably deserved to at least get to overtime and give us a chance of that one. If they had got the win, it would have been a pretty good night, all things considered. 3-1, losing that play on the Blue Jackets would have been a 2+ unit night, but that is gambling, right? So yeah, that pretty much does it for today's show. I don't know if there's anything else we should be getting to right now. Rasmus Dahlin, he's day to day for the Sabres. I look, as far as my numbers go, my projections, a lot of 50-50 goaltending projections with all those teams playing back to back on the weekend. Carolina, Andrei Svechnikov, he's listed as day to day. We still got Valerie Nichushkin for the Avalanche listed as day to day, although they did get Bo Byram and Cale Makar back in the lineup on Thursday. Atari Lehkonen, he is still out. Looks like they're saying at least until December 9th, so not sure about him for that game against the Flyers that we're on. Jake, as a Habs fan, did it surprise? Like, I always liked Lehkonen as a player. I thought he was a talented player, hardworking, pretty smart with the puck, etc. But when it came to his shooting talent, he always seemed like a guy that put it directly into the goaltender's chest, right? Every
Yeah.
time when he was with the Habs, and then he goes to the Avalanche, and all of a sudden he's a sniper.
It's that cliche where like guys say in practice, like, "Oh, he actually has the best shot. He actually has the best shot," and then when like during the game, he puts it right on the crest. Yeah, I
Do you
mean,
think that was it with him a little bit? Because I mean,
yeah, maybe
not that it
for
seems like two different players, but he like his yeah, he just he seems like a lot big more of a clutch player. Of course, he's playing with better players now, but yeah, just a quite a transformation.
Yeah, I mean, probably given a little bit more time and space in Colorado, but of course he scored the goal in the lockout season to send the Habs to the Cup Finals. So I mean, he came through with some clutch moments with Montreal, but definitely
Yeah,
playing with a better cast of characters in Colorado.
for sure, for sure. And how are the Red Wings feeling after losing that game on Thursday? Patrick Kane's debut, 4-goal lead. What a wild second period. 4 goals from Detroit, 4 goals from San Jose. Just absolutely wild. Um, Chris Kreider, day to day for the Rangers. That's not good. He's a big part of that Rangers team. So we will monitor that. Um, but yeah, looks like Thomas Shabbat also that came out on Thursday. He is going to miss uh, another extended period of time. Not good there. Pittsburgh, Brian Rust expected to be out until December 12th. He's not the only one. Ricard Raquel expected to be out until December 13th at least. Yeah. Yeah.
We Got a little bit of a
Oh, and
sorry.
go
I just
ahead. Go
wanted
ahead,
to
Jake.
interject here with a little tinfoil hat conspiracy that somebody just sent me. Somebody saw that a private jet is leaving from Anaheim, California, destination Toronto. Of
Yeah,
course, that's where Otani
that's
plays
your
right
old
now.
news, man. Old news. It's
Oh,
been
is
all
that old
morning.
news?
This is whoever came up, like originated that story on Twitter this morning. Like I'm up early, right? Like I'm the mountain time 2 hours earlier than you. I'm up at 5:30, 6 a.m. and it was already circulating on Twitter at that
Ah.
point. I think people were already saying, like, look, there's this private jet leaving Anaheim, going to Toronto. It has to be Otani, right? Yeah, no. Um, so when I asked you for the Otani update, it appears I had more of an Otani update to share than you did.
Yeah, I
So
thought I had a scoop, but you had the private flight logs
yeah,
already.
I'm a little bit I've been interested ever since you brought it up yesterday. I was kind of like hearing the rumblings and stuff, but I've been interested for sure. Uh, definitely a reason to go to another Blue Jays game. Got to go to my first Blue Jays game in Toronto. I've seen them in Seattle, but I got to go to my first Blue Jays game in Toronto during my Hockey Night in Canada stint. And it was actually it was the home opener in 2022, which ended up being like a record breaking comeback. I think they were down 7-1 and won 8-7
Oh
on
yeah, I
the
remember that. Yeah, yeah.
um who was this? One of the Latin names, that the guy that got traded recently. Um Yeah, he hit the home run. It was awesome. It was one of the best, definitely up there with the best sports moments that I've been a part of live. But yeah, I would. I mean, it was kind of like a bucket list, not a bucket list thing, but it was kind of like that's something where it's like I'm not somebody that's gonna go to Toronto to see the Jays like some people do every year, like from other provinces. Like that's not me, but I would go to see Otani just once, just because like it's a generational player, maybe this generation's Babe Ruth, whatever you want to call it, right? So
Yeah,
pretty
a
cool.
lot of people saying, it's like Connor McDavid suddenly becoming a Leaf, and then that sort of the hype that would generate. And then of course you get, the whole the fans in Japan and Korea, and the people who grew up watching him in Japan, becoming MLB fans and then suddenly becoming Jays fans. It would be a pretty massive ripple.
So I have mixed feelings on. So since I got to go to that was another cool experience. I got to go to a Raptors game with Cabby and a bunch of the other Sportsnet folks there. It was shortly leading. It was leading up to their playoff series versus the Sixers a couple of years ago, and it was, maybe there was maybe 10 games left in the season, and they actually were playing the Sixers, and they were down by like 10 or something in the fourth quarter and came back and won the game. And that fourth quarter rally, that back and forth, like the Raptors going down the court, making the shot, Philly coming down the court, missing the shot, the Raptors going back down, making the shot. Like it was the most electrifying like 10-minute stretch I've ever witnessed of any like sporting event, right? And it was after that I was like, okay, maybe NBA is the best live sport to attend. Like if you're just even a casual fan, because I had the time of my life. Like I was stomping like the metal. We were sitting pretty low down by the court, and I was on the aisle right next to the metal stairs that they put out. And I was stomping my feet on those metal stairs. Like, and I don't even care. Like, I'm not even a basketball fan, right? Like, I was so into it. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
hockey is like hockey's kind of down my list. As far I love hockey, but I'd rather sit here with three TVs watching games than sit at Rogers Place with my, you know, hands under my ass and like just kind of like drinking a $14 beer and just like squeezing in the escalator and stuff. At playoff time, totally different story, but like for the 82 game regular season, it's so hit or miss, and like the place is like a library a lot of nights, right? Like, and especially if it's just like a close game back and forth, like everybody is very watching very intently, and it kind of sucks as far as the atmosphere goes. Like it's like Japanese wrestling. They all just pro wrestling. They all just sit there and watch, and they clap when somebody does something good, right? Like, I don't know, but what do you think about it, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of tend to agree. Last night I was kind of thinking about all those Habs fans who spent like 400 bucks, to see Phil Deno come back and to see Pierre-Luc Dubois and then just watch a 4-0 loss. And it's like you kind of roll the dice. A lot of people roll the dice. They go to 1 or 2 games a year and then you end up going to that one. It's like, oh man, it's so crummy. Connor in the chat was saying that if you watch a hockey game down by the glass, that might be the best live sporting event in his
Oh,
estimation.
okay, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'm of the opinion that you've either got to be like, so for Rogers Place example, for example, in Edmonton, I'm of the opinion that you've got to be um either, at kind of center ice. There's really not a bad seat. Like you can get a good, like I've sat all over that arena since it's open. I've sat in the nosebleeds and down in the lower bowl. And I've sat at the glass at games before. In 2011, the Bruins played in February here in Edmonton. I took my dad, who had never been to an NHL game before. We sat on the glass. I actually posted about this on Twitter recently at Digital Gambler. $251 was the face value of those tickets, sitting right next to the penalty box, first row, right on the glass. Actually, was sitting next to Andrew Francis' sister, who was there just for the first period. He was the captain at the time, I think. She was just there for the first period. She had a brand new baby with headphones on. I remember that. But yeah, we sat on the glass for $500, the two of us. That was at Rexall Place, 2011. I just for the hell of it looked to see what it would cost me to take, a guest to the game on February 21st when Boston comes to town and sit on the glass relatively close to center ice. And it was $1,600 on Ticketmaster. That was the best available option to sit on the glass at center ice. So pretty crazy inflation in the hockey ticket market. So I mean, a lot of people never get, as far as like the Oilers go. I mean, I know they were bad during those years in the 2011 years, but like most people will never have the opportunity to sit on the glass in Edmonton as long as Connor McDavid is here, because it's just, I mean, that's most people's, that's three-quarters of their paycheck there, right? Like, I don't know. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I agree. Sitting on the glass, awesome. I watched Milan Lucic and I don't want to say McIntyre. It might have been McIntyre. I'm gonna have to go back and look. Let's say Lucic and Steve McIntyre went at it. It wasn't McIntyre. It definitely wasn't. It was somebody else, but it was Lucic went, toe to toe with somebody like 10 feet in front of me and my dad. And that was pretty awesome. Every time Chara skated by, it was just like, wow, he is so much bigger than you ever thought he was. But yeah, I was going to say baseball's hit or miss too, because I've been like the Blue Jays home opener, awesome game. And then go to a game the next week and they lose 9-1, and it's just like the worst experience ever, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be at a baseball game when you're like a casual fan of baseball and the game is slow. When it's a crazy game back and forth and the stakes are high, then I think everybody can enjoy that. But baseball's kind of rough for casual fans when it's
Being at the park is fun though. At the end of no matter what, it's fun to be at the park. There's
oh yeah,
always something.
ballparks are in terms of atmosphere, it's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretty much does it for today's episode of the Puck Portfolio. Talked about the games that are most important, most dear to my heart. Didn't focus on a whole lot else because I'll just be wrong on a bunch of stuff. If I say like, oh, this is a great bet because I think this goaltender is going to start, well, the other goaltender is going to start. Well, I'm comfortable betting on these games regardless of who starts. It would suck if it was Kevin Lankinen over UC Saros. It would suck if it was Phoenix Copley over Cam Talbot. It would suck if it was Samuel Urson over Carter Hart. These things would all, hurt my bets, and I wouldn't be happy if they happen. But I don't think they're going to, be world-ending ending scenarios either. So whatever, I'm happy. Might not be a super busy Saturday. Might end up just sticking with the three bets. But like I said, if I've got anything else that I like on Saturday, follow me on Twitter at Digital Gambler, because I'll let you guys know on there if I decide to go live with a short, 10-minute show or something to hit on some more Saturday games and look ahead to any bets I like for Sunday, because we know we'll have odds on Sunday's game at that time, and maybe some good opportunities with all those back-to-backs where teams announce some starting goaltenders, and we can say, okay, well, we know the backup's going to play now. We can play the Sunday game with a little more confidence, and maybe a little more perceived expected value, I guess. So yeah, follow me on Twitter at Digital Gambler. Also, follow the Canada Sports Betting uh, accounts at Can Sports Betting on Twitter and TikTok, and follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Digital Gambler. I'd love to start going live on some of those platforms more. Obviously, I'd love to go live more on the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel, and that is the plan at some point here to do some scheduled live streams throughout the week, maybe on a Saturday, maybe on a Thursday or a Wednesday, something like that, in the evening time. But I'd like to be able to just go live kind of off the cuff at different times. And so I've kind of been hesitant to grow on those platforms. I've got a decent little following on Twitter that you start looking at growing on another platform, and it's hard to start at zero, right? So any of you guys that are following me on Twitter, please follow me over on Instagram at Digital Gambler. Same thing on TikTok, and maybe we can grow some stuff and start doing some more stuff over there. That would be awesome. It's been a great run. Hitting bets at almost a 60% clip this season, double-digit ROI. We'll have an updated record after the weekend, but yeah, it's been good. I hope you all have been learning something. I hope you all have been profiting, and yeah, continue gambling responsibly. Of course, we've done it all with just 1-unit bets for the most part. A little bit of a bigger bet on the St. Louis Blues today, but hey, that's all right to swing sometimes, especially if things are going well. And yeah, we'll keep chugging along here on the puck portfolio. Jake, you want to say anything before we get out of here, or not much? All right, Jake is out, I guess. So yeah.
Sorry, my mic was
Oh,
muted. I was just saying happy weekend to all, and here's to Ohtani in Toronto.
all right, yeah, go Jays. I will wear my Blue Jays gear on Monday and officially hop on the bandwagon. Pretend I was always the biggest Blue Jays fan. Pretend I bought that book at Shoppers Drug Mart that I saw back in 2016 about their run to the second round of the postseason. For God's sakes, I mean, you guys wrote books about, like, that's why I can't. That's why I hate the Jays, because like you made it to the division. What was it? The division final, and lost, and they wrote books about it. Like the bat flip heard around the world and all this stuff. It's like, it's crazy. It's so, you guys. I saw, look, an old friend of mine. Haven't talked to him in a while, but still see him on Twitter lots. Dennis King, a newfie. So always entertaining and witty, of course, like most Easterners, like myself. But Dennis was talking about Toronto and how no slight is ever too small, and no like praise is ever big enough for Toronto, right? They're the smallest big city in the world. That's what Dennis said. I thought that was pretty funny and pretty appropriate, because yeah, like, I mean, they just, I don't know. That's where the Toronto trash talk comes from the rest of Canada, because you guys just take yourselves too seriously.
I can't help but agree with that. I mean, I'm a Montreal kid at heart, so there's still a part of me that's like, Toronto, get over yourself. But yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta agree with all of that.
Montreal sucks too. No, I'm just kidding. Montreal's awesome, best city in Canada. I'll go on record as saying that easily. I mean, I always got to tell people to go visit Cape Breton if you can, especially if you're on the East Coast of the United States, or any of the central or other eastern provinces. Go check out Cape Breton and mainland Nova Scotia, Halifax, Dartmouth. But yeah, Montreal, just an amazing city. Wish I could go there every weekend. To be honest, it would be a lot of fun. It's a great place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit buried in snow right now, but
Really,
yeah, oh yeah, they've been catching a lot of snow.
man, we've
Um,
been awesome. I know I know this is dragging on here, but Edmonton's been great. Like, I've actually enjoying living here for once in the month of December. And I worked in the oil and gas industry for a long time, and my birthday is in early December, and I spent a lot of birthdays like waist deep in snow or freezing my ass off in -40, even -50 weather, like with the wind chill. So, nice to be doing this for one, and also like not being locked inside a total depression because it's -30 in November and December. So yeah, happy about that for sure. But thanks for joining me today, guys. Maybe I'll see you on the weekend. Keep it locked on Twitter. And yeah, please like the show, subscribe to the Canada Sports Betting YouTube channel if you have not already, and check out our great sponsor, NorthStar Bets, via the link in the description below. And check out canadasportsbetting.ca for more great sports betting content like Jake's Takes and all of Jeff Follett's stuff over there on the NHL. Got some great NFL and NBA content out there as well. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys on Monday, if not the weekend.